Hello again. This is Akiva the Believer, reading parsha by parsha from this wonderful book, Torah Journeys by Rabbi Shefa Gold. This parsha is Vayechi, and he lived, which is Genesis 47:28 through 50:26. Rabbi Gold starts out by saying Jacob on his deathbed gives a blessing to each of his sons. The blessing. Jacob lived, the portion begins, and the story reveals a deathbed scene where instead of saying that Jacob died, it says he was gathered into his people, into us. The blessing that I receive from Vayechi is the knowledge that Jacob still lives within me. After wrestling with an angel on the banks of the Jabbok, Jacob received a new name. That moment represented a spiritual transformation. Quote, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with beings divine and human, and you have prevailed," said the angel. Yet until the very end of the narrative of Genesis, Jacob is called by both names. Even at the moment of death, he is referred to as Jacob. Jacob tells us something quite profound about the nature of spiritual transformation, and it helps us relate more realistically to our own process of transformation. Looking at our own Jacob, you might find certain qualities that seem to be wired into your personality. You might be a worrier, or you might be impatient, argumentative, controlling, manipulative. When you begin to have experiences of expanded consciousness, you are given the name Israel, and you take on a spiritual practice that proceeds from that new identity. But Jacob never really goes away. Through our practice, we learn how to manage that worrier, that impatient one, that manipulator. We can learn to have compassion for the fearful source of that voice. After many years of committed practice, I realized that the voices of Jacob within us may never be entirely silenced. But as the Israel in us grows, those Jacob voices lose their power to compel, and we are no longer tricked or trapped by their arguments. When I receive the blessing of the knowledge of where Jacob lives within me, then I can recognize his voice and gently refuse his advice, looking instead to Israel for wisdom, passion, and courage for my journey. The spiritual challenge. Vayechi gives us an extraordinary scene of Jacob on his deathbed, initiating each of his sons on their path, naming the particular medicine that they will carry. Depending on how that medicine is used, it can either be a blessing or a curse. To carry a particular medicine into the world always means navigating a delicate spiritual challenge, for the power of your medicine can either heal or destroy. Each of Jacob's sons are gifted with a totem, an image, a quality, or animal that can be their teacher in the spirit realms. We carry within us all the medicine of our ancestors. The unstable water of Reuben, the lion of Judah, the harbor of Zebulun, the strong-boned ass of Issachar, the snake of Dan, the warrior of Gad, the prosperity of Asher, the deer of Naphtali, the wild ass of Joseph, and the hungry wolf of Benjamin. Each image is a pathway through which power can move through us into the world. The spiritual challenge is to call on that power as we become healers, to use that power with awareness and dedicate it to holiness for the good of all. Guidance for practice. This spiritual practice concerns the art of being in relationship both to the place of Jacob within you and to the place of Israel. Both must be named and acknowledged. Chant, honoring Jacob and Israel. Address these words in chant to each part. Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov. How good are your tents, Jacob. Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Your Mishkan, or dwelling place, Israel. Find those two places within you as you chant. The difference between a tent and a Mishkan is that a tent is always temporary and limited. A Mishkan is where the presence of God dwells eternally. It contains infinite space. The voice of your true soul calls forth from the Mishkan of Israel, and to its presence you sing, Ma tovu, how good. The tent of Jacob, though limited, though temporary, is also good. It has sustained you, sheltered you in the wilderness, and kept you safe. To that place you sing, Ma tovu, how good. And that's where we're going to leave it today. Thank you for listening to this parsha. I again remind you that you can purchase this wonderful book, Torah Journeys, by going on Rabbi Shefa Gold's website. You just write in Rabbi Shefa Gold and you have the drop downs, and there you can purchase this book, and your money can go to its author, Rabbi Gold. So if you have been enjoying these weekly get-togethers, I ask that you consider subscribing, commenting, and sharing. And that will help us to continue this work. Thank you so much.